Hello, Salado Youth families. Hope that you're doing well wherever you are, whenever you watch this video. So, Dr. Mosser has skipped over to preach in Job this week, but I'm going to stay in the Gospel of Mark because I kind of want to finish the story that we've been working our way through. I mean, who wants to hear a story and not hear the ending, right? That would be like going to see that new Dune movie and not finding out that is crazy that would happen. So we're going to go through to the end of this story. And at the end of this story, in Mark chapter 10, we meet this man named Bartimaeus. Now, the name Bartimaeus actually means son of the unclean. Who wants to be called that? But it kind of fits because Bartimaeus, turns out, is blind and therefore is a beggar. He can't hold down a job because he's blind, so he's left to be begging on the streets of the city of Jericho. And as Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, Bartimaeus hears that Jesus is passing by, and so he begins to cry out to Jesus, the Son of David, to have mercy on him. And the crowd doesn't like this. They start telling him, please, be quiet. You're going to bother the guy. We're trying to see the main event here, which is Jesus, not listen to some dirty beggar yelling his name. But Jesus hears him, and Jesus stops, and he asks Bartimaeus, what do you want me to do for you? The same question that he asked the disciples, James and John, earlier in the chapter. And Bartimaeus says, I would like to get my sight. And Jesus immediately heals him and says, go your way, your faith has made you well. And Bartimaeus decides to follow Jesus. So I call this story the guy who got it right. You see, we've been hitting you every week with stories of people who don't get it right. And it can feel like it's pretty negative. There's a lot of negativity, a lot of don't do this, please don't do this, oh my gosh, don't do this. The disciples are not a good example. The rich young ruler is not a good example. All these people that are dealing with Jesus are not a good example of what it means to be a disciple, to follow. But here we have the person you would least expect, a dirty, blind beggar, being the one who gets it right. You see, when Jesus comes by, Bartimaeus can hardly contain his enthusiasm. He knows this is his shot to find healing. He's probably heard about this man from Nazareth who heals people and who does miraculous things. And so he knows this is his chance. And he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. He's going to cry out to Jesus, and he's going to see if he can get Jesus' attention so that he can be healed. Now, a few things I want to note about this story. We already see the contrast between the previous stories, between what do you want me to do for you, Jesus asked. When he asked the disciples this, he gets a different answer out of Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus just realizes his need. Like we should realize our need for Jesus. The places in our lives where we are blind, the places in our lives where we are broken. We should realize that and cry out to Jesus. We shouldn't be afraid to do so. Bartimaeus is not. He doesn't care that people around him see him in need and that he needs Jesus. He doesn't care about what people think. Unlike the rich young ruler who won't give up his possessions to follow Jesus, Bartimaeus actually does. He gives everything. Because he was a beggar, probably all he had was his cloak, and it says he threw away his cloak. It'd be like he threw down his phone and he ran after Jesus because he knew he could find healing there. He knew he could find what he needed. And the beautiful part of this story is Bartimaeus doesn't just find healing, he finds faith. Jesus says, your faith has made you well. And he tells him, go your own way. Well, guess what Bartimaeus does? As I mentioned, he turns and follows Jesus. His way is now Jesus's way. He doesn't try to go back and get his cloak. He doesn't try to go back to his old life. He doesn't try to rebuild what he had before. He realizes his life has been changed, and he follows Jesus on the way. And I think that's why this story closes out this section of Mark. It shows that sometimes in the places we least expect it, people like us, Jesus is working and moving. We should be willing to be enthusiastic about our faith, to cry out to the Jesus that we need, no matter what the crowd thinks, to leave behind our old lives and to follow Jesus on the way, that our way should be his way. So Bartimaeus is the guy who got it right, and we should learn to follow like he did. So where is it in our lives that we are unwilling to do this? Where are we holding back? Is it because we're afraid that people will realize we're really a Christian? We're not just someone who says that in name, that we really care and that we really follow Jesus and we really love Jesus? Are we afraid what people will think? I think some of us probably are. It's okay to be kind of a marginal average Christian. It's not okay to be someone who really loves Jesus and does the radical things that Jesus did. You see, my friends, I think a lot of times we see our faith as just something sort of passive, and this story is anything but passive. Bartimaeus is loud, he's enthusiastic, and he follows because he knows that Jesus is the one who can heal him. Jesus is the one in whom he has faith, and Jesus is the one that he should be following. How can we be more enthusiastic about following Jesus? How can we stir that love that we have for him up in our hearts? I pray that you will find the way that for you works. For some of you, it may be music. You need to hear more music that encourages you to follow Jesus. Maybe you need to read the scripture more. Maybe you need to participate more in your communities of faith. Whatever it is, I pray that you will seek God and ask him about the ways that you can follow him more closely. Pray that you are blessed. Know that you are loved. We will see you all soon.